What's up, guys? Welcome to Figureoutable. This is actually the first ever episode. It'll be a little bit unorthodox for this one. I'm going to start off by introducing myself. My name's Avi. I have been on this earth for many years, and I understand that it's my express privilege to be able to offer relatable, basic life advice and help people get on a better path. Every episode that we do from this point forward, we're going to try and keep it to as short a format as possible because we don't want to bore you with too many details, but we do want to help you guys figure it out. I firmly believe that in life, resourcefulness is better than resources. And for those of us that were born of average or even a below average economic or resource stature, we have the ability to do anything we put our minds to. But you got to start somewhere. In my line of work or my two businesses that I run on a regular basis, I notice that a lot of people come through my doors that don't really have good life skills, but they got big dreams. This channel is going to be about helping you guys achieve those dreams, even if we have to start small. So, first episode today, we're going to help you guys get a better job. We're going to talk about some of the best factors that you need to consider when applying for a job, how to apply, what do you have to say, how do you dress, how do you psych yourself up before getting into that interview? On top of that, we want to help you guys maximize whatever potential you have in your current job if you have one. Let's get started. First and foremost, before beginning on the adventure of finding a new job, you need to ask yourself a couple questions. Why do I want a new job? Is it because I'm not making enough money? Is it because I'm not fairly treated where I work? Is it because I don't like the type of work that I'm trying to do right now? Once you've written down a list of your questions to yourself, you need to figure out what type of job you do want to work at. In an attempt to make this channel relatable, I'm going to talk to everybody as if they're not working in a big tech firm or big engineering firm. It's really important that people who are young or old that maybe haven't worked their way up the ladder of life get a chance to grow as individuals. I want to make this really basic. Let's use an example here. Say you work in hospitality, you work at a fast food chain. You're not making a lot of money, you're making 12 bucks an hour. You don't really like the work that you're doing. Of what you want to do in life, why do you want to switch another job? Is going to be because you want better pay, right? You're working at Wendy's. In addition to that, maybe you don't like the type of work that you do. I don't think anybody working in the kitchen of Wendy's really enjoys what they're doing. You're trying to find a better job so that you can get more money, and you're trying to find a better job to do more fun work. This is where it's going to get really sticky. You need to have hobbies. You need to have something that you're interested in. If you're not sure what you want to do and you just want better pay, then the chances are you're going to go on to the next job and you're going to bring the same bad habits that you had before to that new job and end up in the same miserable position that you're in right now. My advice to you guys is cultivate who you are as a person. Figure out what interests you in the world that we live in so that you can actually have a goal related to employment and find something that brings you a sense of passion or purpose. You're trying to find a new job, write down a list of the work that you think you'd be good at, that you're not qualified for, and what are the ones that you are qualified for, because you're going to have to start where you're qualified. So you found the list of jobs that you are qualified for. Your next step is to use online platforms and find out who is hiring in your area. This is what I see happen all the time. Indeed makes it so easy. This is not an advertisement for Indeed. Phenomenally easy for me to sit down and in an afternoon send my resume to 20 different employers in the area. It's non-committal. I can do it from the comfort of my home and my keyboard. The uncomfortable part is that for those of you who are listening that don't have a lot of experience talking in front of groups of people or actually showing up to these interviews, that when you get that call to show up, you might be tempted to not show because it is nervous. It's nerve wracking. And then you start to question whether or not the job is even worth it. You're like, oh man, I'm only flipping burgers at Wendy's for 12 bucks an hour and this new job's 13 bucks and I don't really feel like it. And I'm going to be a couple minutes late. And then all of a sudden you don't show up for the interview. But that interview could have been the next best opportunity of your life. You figured out what type of jobs you do want to do or you can do in two different categories. You've started to apply on Indeed. Print off your resume and go visit some of those employers who are hiring and introduce yourself to the manager that's on duty. 99% of applicants don't do this. Every single person that walks through my front door, even when I'm not hiring, I'm inclined to sit down with and ask questions and give them the time of day. And they stay in my mind until we are ready to hire. I literally have people pinned up on my wall here with their phone numbers as a reminder that if I do have an opportunity, I'm going to bring a person in that actually had the chutzpah to come through the front door over somebody that's just sending their resume through on Indeed. It's not comfortable to find a job. It's not easy to go to an interview. The best time to find a job is when you already have one. And if you've never had a job before, please take my advice. Apply online, visit the employer, bring your resume and do it the old fashioned way. 40 years ago, there was no Indeed, and people who used to get jobs had to go out and actually hoof it and go shop to introduce themselves to get that first opportunity. We don't have that culture anymore. And because we don't have that culture anymore, that's your gift. You can be the only one that's actually stepping in and face to facing with people who are accustomed to seeing another email pop up in their inbox. When I post a job, we might get 20 applicants, but there's times where we've gotten over 200 applicants, and it's extremely difficult for me to figure out which is the next best pick. Somebody walking through the front door of my office is going to make an impression that I'll never forget, and that's something that you guys can do. Now that you've sent out a bunch of applications, it's pretty normal for you to not get a call back. That's the world we live in. It's also going to be very normal for you to have an interview, and if they didn't hire you, they may not call you to let you know that. Don't go into the world expecting people to do as they say and say as they do. It's not the world we live in. You're going to go on interviews. You're going to see jobs that you really like. You're not going to get the job sometimes, and then other times you will get the job. The beauty of people not doing what they said they're going to do is that it's an uncomfortable and not enjoyable experience to feel. Awesome part about it is that when it does happen, it's made to feel even better. Life is about contrast. So in order to feel really good moments, sometimes you have to feel the negative moments. And if everything in life was perfect and good, then it wouldn't be perfect and good anymore. Any nerves you might have going to an interview or sending out your resume, they're worth it because it's going to make the reward even more enjoyable. Say you get an interview. These are some of the most important things that you need to address. Number one, show up 15 minutes early. If you're not early, you're late. And the people who roll through my doors 4 minutes, 1 minute before their interview, I can kind of see into the future with them and know that punctuality is not going to be their forte as we work together. If somebody's late to their interview, I'm probably not going to go out on a limb and hire them. Now, if they've had something crazy happen, they got a flat tire and they're texting me a picture of the flat tire on their phone, I'll give them a chance. But punctuality is probably the most important thing. If you can't show up on time, don't show up at all. Shoot them a text message, say, I'm sorry, something came up. Number two, dress appropriately. I don't think that for entry-level positions, which I hire for all the time, any of my applicants need to show up in a suit. But I think everybody owns a polo and a pair of jeans. We're in 2025. It's totally okay to tuck a shirt in, wear a belt, and show up relatively professional. Even if you think the job is not worth it, do it anyways. You will set yourself apart just by showing up on time, being a little early, and just by going the extra mile with how you dress. You don't need to put suspenders and a tie and a suit jacket on. Some people straight up just don't have money for that kind of stuff. So that's not the type of advice that I'm here to give you guys. Go a little bit of the extra effort. What kind of questions are you going to be asked during an interview? My favorite question to ask is, who was your favorite manager and why? One of the questions that everybody asks is, why did you leave your last job? Or are you still employed? And they're going to be looking for an honest answer. Like, did you get fired? Did you storm off and quit? There are certain things that you guys are going to do over the course of your life that you probably shouldn't do, but if you do them anyways, it's going to be okay. You're going to get fired from a job. You're probably going to lose your temper one of these days and storm off on the job. And when you get asked the question, how did you leave your last job? You should probably answer it honestly. And there's ways to do that that show that you've grown and matured, but we can get into that in another episode. My biggest thing when interviewing a candidate, I want to know if you can be punctual and show up on time. I want to know what kind of attitude you're going to bring me every day. I don't care if you're smart or dumb, but if you have a decent personality and a good attitude, I'm willing to work with that. Most employers feel the same way. Most jobs don't require you to have awesome skills with math. They don't require you to be super, super intelligent. What they require you to do is put your best foot forward every day and have a good attitude. So if by interviewing you, I can tell that you dressed sloppy, you showed up late, and you kind of seem like you have a negative attitude, I'm not going to hire you. Nobody else is going to hire you. The takeaway from this is inevitably somebody watching this video right now has a negative attitude as they go through life. They like to complain and not do anything about it. That's a part of being human. But I promise you, it's not just hurting your job prospects, it's hurting you in every other avenue of your life. I learned this when I was working in hospitality at the restaurants. I would come into work pissed off, in a bad mood. My day would go so slow, and all I would think about is my next break where I could go outside and smoke a cigarette. It was like torture. It was like being in hell's waiting room, waiting for my day to end, hoping that every table I get is easy and leaves me a fat tip. That's just not how life works. There was a pivotal moment in my life where I decided that I wasn't going to allow myself to be in a crappy mood every time I came into work. So I started to come in with a positive attitude, no complaints, and I would remind myself when I would think about that next cigarette that, hey, you know what, this is temporary and I'll get to smoke as many cigarettes as I want when I'm no longer working. And it worked. I tricked myself into thinking I was in a good mood, and I tricked myself into thinking that I didn't want the cigarette, and my day went by so much faster. So in life, you're always going to be faced with this challenge. You can approach every problem of your life with a positive attitude, even if that problem is horrendous. Or you can approach everything in life, not just problems, with a negative attitude. Guess what? One person's going to be a lot happier and with a much better outcome, and the other person is going to struggle through life for life. I just want you to see from this video that there's a little bit of insight from a person who conducts interviews a lot. What we're looking for isn't anything crazy. I don't need you to be a master of everything that's going on at my job so that when you get hired, you know how to do it. I know you're going to take training. I know you're going to take time. But what I can't have is a cup with a hole at the bottom of it that every time I pour effort and energy and attention into, it comes right out the bottom. I need to know that everyone coming into my organizations and any organizations I ever work with in the future, that they're going to bring a positive attitude. They'll have some integrity. They'll put their best foot forward every day. From that, you can coach anybody. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below. Otherwise, like and subscribe.